The digestive physiology of poultry and its nutritional consequences. Feeding. The feeding is 75% to 80% of the total cost. It must cover the requirements of the animals, and it can influence the compositions of the animal products, and it can influence the food safety. The proportion between the body length and the length of the GI tract. The body length to GI tract ratio is 1:5 or 1:6, and the GI tract is 5 to 6 times longer than the length of the body. The GI tract is very short in poultry compared to other animals. This means foodstuff go through the GI tract very fast. This means you should use food that is very concentrated and good digestible feeds because the time for digestion is reduced. Special characteristics of the GI tract and their nutritional consequences. The beak. In chickens and turkeys, they are seed eaters. The beak is adapted to seeds. The nutritional consequences, they prefer seed-like food. If we want to increase the feed intake, we give them feed similar to seeds, such as crumble pellet. This increases the food intake 15 to 20% more than the case of mash. If we want to do the opposite and decrease their food intake, we give them mash. They don't like it. It decreases their food intake. Ducks. Their beak is adapted to water. The beak filters feeds and living things. It's not good for picking up mash because there will be a lot of waste and it's economically not beneficial. The beak in geese is adapted to grazing. They're good foragers and grazers. It's not adapted for mash, so there's a lot of economic waste if you give them mash. They're better with pellets. The crop. This is an organ for storage of feeds, especially in chickens. A small crop means more frequent feeding. The crop size is determines the frequency of feeding. Young birds have a small crop size. They must be fed continuously or ad lib with free choice on a free choice basis. Feedstuff should always be available and not mash storage possible. The esophagus, this softens the feed. The gizzard, this is a very strong muscular stomach that grinds feed into smaller particles as they don't have teeth. It moves almost constantly. The grit should be given in the diet and it helps to grind the feed. They're given grit in the form of limestone, which helps calcium supplementation, as cereals are quite low in calcium. Laying birds have high calcium requirements, and calcium is important for the production of eggshells. Hen mobilize calcium from their bones and use it in the form of eggshells. If the diet in the terms of pellets, mash, or crumbles, rather than seeds or cereals, we don't need to use limestone, as the other calcium is much better, and they aren't as hard on the beak. Geese have high pressure in their gizzard as it's needed to squeeze out the soluble contents of their forage. The small intestine. It's small and tight and low in volume. It's short and small, and the digestion and absorption time is short. Concentrated feeds are needed. The volume of the small intestine is tight. The anti-nutritional factors are the NSP. These are the non-starch polysaccharides, or also known as beta-glucans, in barley. They can't be digested as the amylase produced can't break down the bonds. This results in the energy loss as they are excreted undigested in the feces. However, there are high viscosity in the lumen, and the lumen is narrow. This means they bind to water-soluble nutrients like vitamins, and they can leave the GI tract without getting absorbed, resulting in the loss of nutrients. Geese have a longer intestine than chickens and ducks. A small outgrowth called the vitelline diverticulum makes a former connection with the egg yolk sac. The ceca. These are two blind pouches located near the end of the small intestine. They have a complex microbial community that helps break down fiber and other complex carbohydrates. The cloaca is a common outlet for urinary, reproduction, and digestive systems.